All right, so let's dive into a topic that I think is both intriguing and maybe just a little bit cheesy,
Got it.
the idea of soulmates.
Hmm.
Our listener wants to kind of go beyond those rom-com cliches
Right.
and really understand what a deep soulmate level connection really looks like.
Absolutely.
And luckily, we've got this great source, Signs You've Met Your Soulmate, How to Know for Sure, to guide us.
Right.
So we're going to be blending some of those more romantic notions
Yeah.
with some real-world insights
Yeah.
from psychology and neuroscience to help all of us decode the mystery of soulmates.
I love that.
I am excited to unpack this with you.
Yeah, me too. It's fascinating how this concept has just captivated humanity, for as long as we've been around.
It really is, and it all starts with that initial spark, that
Yeah.
feeling of instant connection.
Yeah.
What is the science behind that?
So when we encounter someone who just clicks with us, right?
Yeah.
Our brains, they go into overdrive, releasing this potent cocktail
Yeah.
of chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine is all about pleasure and reward, right? So it gives us that euphoric rush.
Okay.
But oxytocin is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
It's the bonding hormone,
Ah.
the one that fosters trust and really deepens our connection with someone over time.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And, studies have shown that couples with higher levels of oxytocin tend to have more satisfying and long-lasting relationships.
So it's not just a fleeting feeling. There's
Yeah.
an actual biological basis for why that initial spark can turn into something more.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Those early chemical reactions can lay the groundwork for a strong and lasting bond.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Now, one of the signs that this source talks about is inexplicable recognition.
Yes.
That feeling of, I've met you before, even though you haven't.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that?
It's a powerful feeling, right?
It is.
And while it might feel mystical, it likely has roots in how our subconscious minds work.
Okay.
Our brains are constantly processing information, even things that we're not consciously aware of.
Right.
So it's possible that our subconscious is picking up on these subtle cues about someone, their mannerisms, their energy,
Oh.
and it's rapidly making connections that our conscious mind hasn't caught up with yet.
So it's like our subconscious is a matchmaking ninja.
Yeah, kind of working behind the scenes.
I like that.
It's amazing how much our subconscious influences our feelings and perceptions.
Right.
Especially when it comes to attraction.
Okay, so here's another sign that really resonated with me.
Okay?
The idea that soulmates challenge us to grow.
Yes.
It's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
There's a real element of personal development involved.
I love that you brought this up.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get caught up in this romantic ideal of soulmates, right?
Yeah.
Thinking it's all about effortless bliss.
Right.
But true growth often comes from being challenged, right? From stepping outside our comfort zones.
Yeah.
And a soulmate connection, that deep level of understanding and support, can be the catalyst for incredible personal transformation.
It's almost like having a built-in accountability partner.
Right.
For your soul's evolution.
Exactly. It's about inspiring each other to become the best versions of yourselves individually and together.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, this next one is often depicted in movies, but I'm curious about the real-life implications.
Yeah.
The source talks about effortless communication as a sign of a soulmate connection.
Oh, yeah. We've all seen those scenes where two people just seem to read each other's minds,
Right.
while true telepathy might be a stretch.
Probably.
There's something to be said for that feeling of being on the same wavelength.
Mm.
When you have a deep understanding of someone's values, their worldview, their emotional landscape,
Yeah.
communication just flows more easily. It's less about anticipating their every thought and more about having a shared foundation that makes it easier to navigate disagreements, express your needs, and truly understand each other's perspectives.
So it's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
Yeah.
It's about being able to work through it in a way that feels healthy and productive.
Precisely, even soulmates will have disagreements, but that shared connection can help them navigate those challenges with more compassion and understanding.
Okay, let's talk about shared purpose.
Okay.
This one can sound a bit mystical,
Yeah.
like Destiny's Duo or something. What does it actually mean for a couple to have a shared purpose?
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to have identical careers or life goals, right?
Okay.
It's more about a sense of alignment, a feeling that your individual paths complement and support each other in a meaningful way.
Okay.
The source mentions an example of one partner being a passionate artist and the other being an entrepreneur who helps bring that art to a wider audience.
Oh.
Their paths are different,
Right.
yet they intertwine to create something bigger than themselves.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's not about sacrificing your individual dreams,
Right.
but finding ways to support each other's journeys in a way that feels purposeful and fulfilling.
Exactly. It's about those aha moments where you realize how perfectly your strengths and passions complement each other, how your individual journeys are somehow interwoven into a larger tapestry.
Now, get ready for this one because it gets a little trippy.
Okay.
Time distortion.
Ooh.
The source suggests that time can feel different when you're with your soulmate,
That's
either
right.
flying by or standing still.
Yeah.
What is the science behind that?
Have you ever been so engrossed in an activity, so completely in the zone,
Oh, yeah.
that you completely lose track of time?
Absolutely. It happens to me when I'm editing audio writing scripts, even having great conversations.
Yes.
Time just seems to melt away.
That's exactly what psychologists call flow state.
Oh, yeah.
It's a state of deep engagement and focus where our perception of time becomes distorted.
Wow.
And guess what? Studies have shown that spending time with loved ones, especially those we feel deeply connected to, can trigger this flow state.
Oh.
It's like our brains are so tuned in to the present moment, so captivated by the interaction, that the outside world fades away.
So that feeling of time flying by or standing still when you're with someone special,
Yeah.
it's not just a romantic notion. It's an actual phenomenon linked to how our brains process deep connection.
That's right. And it speaks volumes about the power of those soulmate-level connections to shift our perception of reality.
This is all so fascinating. I feel
Yeah.
like we're just scratching the surface of what it means to have a soulmate connection.
We are, and there's so much more to explore.
Okay, well, I'm always up for a good deep dive, but for now, we're going to take a quick pause so you can process all these amazing insights.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to continue our exploration of soulmates.
Sounds good.
Welcome back. So we've been exploring the signs of soulmate connections.
Right.
But now I'm curious about the practical side of things.
Okay.
How does this idea of soulmates actually impact the way we approach dating and relationships, in the real world?
That's a great question, and I think it's important to acknowledge that the belief in soulmates can be both a source of inspiration
Okay.
and a potential pitfall.
Okay.
On one hand, it can give people hope and motivate them to put themselves out there.
Right.
It's that idea that there's someone special out there,
Mm-hmm.
someone who truly gets you, that can fuel the desire to connect and find love.
So it's like a driving force, a belief that your perfect match is out there somewhere.
Exactly. And that optimism can be incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
but there's also a flip side to that coin.
Okay.
For some people, the belief in soulmates can lead to unrealistic expectations.
Oh.
They might hold out for that one perfect person who ticks every box, who makes them feel complete without any effort.
Right.
And in doing so, they might miss out on real, genuine connections that require time, work, and compromise.
It's almost like they're searching for a fairy tale instead of embracing the beautiful messiness of real life.
I love that analogy because real relationships,
Yeah.
even those with a strong soulmate foundation, will have their challenges. We're all human with our own baggage and imperfections.
Right.
And the belief in soulmates can sometimes overshadow the importance of individual growth, communication, and the ongoing work that it takes to build a healthy, lasting relationship.
So how do we find that balance? How do we embrace the possibility of soulmate connections without letting those expectations cloud our judgment or prevent us from appreciating the beauty of imperfect relationships?
I think it starts with recognizing that the initial spark, that feeling of destiny,
Yeah.
is just the beginning.
Okay.
It's a beautiful starting point, but it's not a guarantee of happily ever after.
You're right.
Building a strong and lasting relationship, even with a soulmate, requires open communication, a willingness to compromise, and a commitment to working through challenges together.
It's like having the perfect ingredients for a delicious meal,
Yes,
but you still need to put in the effort to cook it, season it, and present it beautifully.
that's a perfect way to put it. And I think it's crucial to remember that even soulmates are still two separate individuals
Right.
with their own needs, desires, and paths to follow.
So it's not about merging into one being, but rather about supporting each other's growth and evolution while creating a shared journey that feels meaningful and fulfilling.
Exactly. And recognizing that even within a soulmate connection, individual growth is essential.
Okay.
It's about nurturing your own passions, pursuing your own interests, and coming together as two whole individuals who choose to share their lives.
This makes me think about those couples who claim to have found their soulmate.
Yeah.
Is it possible to know for sure? And if so, does that change the dynamic of the relationship?
It's certainly possible to feel that deep soulmate level connection.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful when people experience that.
Hmm.
But even in those cases, it's important to remember that relationships are constantly evolving.
Right.
That initial spark might be the catalyst, but it's the ongoing effort, the shared experiences, the commitment to growing together that truly determines the longevity and depth of the connection.
So finding your soulmate isn't a finish line. It's more like the starting point of an incredible adventure.
I love that perspective because the real magic of soulmate connections lies not just in finding each other,
Yeah.
but in choosing each other day after day through the ups and downs of life.
Mm.
It's about embracing the journey together and supporting each other's growth, even when it gets messy, challenging, and sometimes downright confusing.
I'm realizing that this conversation has shifted my whole perspective on soulmates.
Really?
It's less about finding that one perfect person and more about recognizing the profound connections we make with the people who touch our lives in meaningful ways,
Yes.
whether it's a romantic partner, a close friend, or even a family member.
That's a beautiful insight, and I think it speaks to the heart of what we're discussing.
Yeah.
These deep connections, these soulmate-like bonds, can exist in many forms,
Right.
and they all have the potential to enrich our lives, challenge us to grow, and remind us of the power of human connection.
I completely agree, but before we get too sentimental, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
If a soulmate connection isn't about finding perfection or avoiding challenges, then what's the key to making it work, to making it last?
It all comes down to the same principles that apply to any healthy relationship.
Okay.
Open communication, mutual respect, a willingness to compromise, and a shared commitment to growth and evolution.
So it's about showing up for each other, supporting each other's dreams, and navigating challenges with empathy and understanding.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And that requires a deep level of self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and a willingness to be vulnerable with each other.
Mhm.
It's about creating a safe space where you can express your needs, your fears, your joys, and your sorrows without judgment.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I agree.
I feel like we've debunked some myths, explored some fascinating science, and ultimately arrived at a more grounded and realistic understanding of what it means to have a soulmate connection.
It's been a truly insightful exploration.
But before we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
I want to shift the focus to you, the listener. What signs of deep connection have you noticed in your own life?
Think about those relationships where you feel truly seen, heard, and understood.
Those connections where communication flows effortlessly, where you can be your authentic self without fear of judgment.
Those relationships that have challenged you to grow, inspired you to become a better version of yourself, and supported you through thick and thin.
Maybe you've experienced that feeling of time distortion where hours melt away like minutes when you're with that special someone.
Or maybe you've simply felt a deep sense of alignment, a knowing that your paths are meant to intertwine in some meaningful way.
Whatever form it takes, I encourage you to cherish those connections.
Yes.
Nurture them, appreciate them, and allow them to remind you of the incredible power of human connection.
Beautifully said.
And as we transition to the final part of our deep dive, I want you to hold on to those feelings, those memories, those moments of deep connection, because we're about to explore what it truly means to embrace soulmate energy, not just in romantic relationships, but in all aspects of our lives. Stay tuned.
We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into this fascinating world of soulmates.
Okay.
We've talked about the science, the signs, even the practicalities of these profound connections.
Yeah.
But now I kind of want to take things a step further.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Where are we headed?
Well, you know how we often associate soulmates with romantic relationships?
Right.
I'm wondering if that's too narrow of a view.
Okay.
Could it be that soulmate energy extends beyond romantic love?
That's a fantastic question and one that I've pondered myself.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely possible to experience soulmate-like connections with people who aren't our romantic partners.
Oh.
Think about the deep bonds you might have with close friends, family members, or even mentors.
Those relationships that feel like they were meant to be, that challenge you to grow and support you unconditionally.
It's like those friends who just get you,
Yeah.
who you can talk to for hours and feel completely understood. Or those family members who, despite your differences, share a bond that goes beyond blood.
Exactly. Those connections can be just as powerful and transformative as romantic soulmates.
Wow.
They can inspire us and challenge us and help us become the best versions of ourselves.
So maybe the key isn't to limit ourselves to searching for that one romantic soulmate,
Right.
but rather to be open to the possibility of soulmate connections in all areas of our lives.
I love that perspective. It's about recognizing and cherishing the profound connections we make with the people who touch our lives in meaningful ways, regardless of the label we put on the relationship.
This makes me think about how we often focus on like finding our soulmate,
Yes.
as if it's something outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
What if it's more about cultivating that soulmate energy within?
Okay.
What if it starts with becoming our own soulmate?
That's a profound insight.
Yeah.
I think self-love and self-acceptance are essential foundations for any deep connection,
Yeah.
whether it's with a romantic partner, a friend, or even ourselves.
Right.
When we learn to love and accept ourselves fully, we become more open and receptive to those soulmate-level connections with others.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
If we're not taking care of our own needs, if we're not nurturing our own souls,
Yeah,
it's hard to give fully to others.
exactly. And I think that's where the real magic of soulmates lies. It's not just about finding someone who completes us,
Right.
but about becoming whole individuals who choose to share their lives and their journeys with others who resonate at a similar frequency.
So maybe the real soulmate quest isn't about searching for someone else, but about becoming the kind of person who attracts and nurtures those deep, soulful connections.
Beautifully said. It's about cultivating the qualities we seek in a soulmate.
Yeah.
Kindness, compassion, empathy, understanding, and a willingness to grow and evolve within ourselves.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
We've gone from decoding the signs of soulmate connections to exploring the deeper meaning of soulmate energy
Right?
and how it can manifest in all areas of our lives.
I think the key takeaway is that soulmate connections are about more than just romance. They're about recognizing the profound impact that other souls can have on our lives, inspiring us, challenging us, and supporting us on our journeys.
Absolutely. And whether or not you believe in the concept of soulmates, I think we can all agree on the importance of cherishing those deep connections and allowing them to enrich our lives in countless ways. So as we wrap up this episode,
Yes.
I encourage you to reflect on the soulmate energy in your own life.
Think about the people who light you up, who make you feel seen and understood, who inspire you to become the best version of yourself.
And remember, the journey to finding your soulmate starts with becoming your own. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep those soulmate vibes flowing.